entire street's closed. Also just looks like a bunch of garbage. But the thing is, I'm probably the only place open on this block of Barrington Street. So I don't imagine it's going to be very busy today. If you're new to my channel, two things. This happened not long ago. I don't always have my arm in a sling. That's number one. And number two, I don't know what I'm actually talking about, so don't believe anything I say. 2 weeks ago, I made a video saying that cyclocross bikes and adventure bikes are not the same. And I stand by that. I do need to make a small correction to it. A fellow user on YouTube pointed out a mistake I made along the lines of more rake creates more trail, less rake creates... Trail is increased by reducing... See, even right now I'm trying to explain it and I know I'm wrong. No, that's wrong. Is when you increase rake, you decrease trail. When you decrease rake, you increase the trail, making a more stable bike. If that's the only thing you're changing, increasing rake makes a more twitchy feeling bike, decreasing rake makes a more stable feel. Because that's super confusing, I'm actually gonna I'm gonna link to a pretty good article. It's an easy mistake to make. Because I made that video talking about adventure bikes and cross bikes and how they're not the same, it got me to thinking, what is the difference between like an endurance road bike and an adventure bike? And that's a subject that's kind of just a little bit more interesting. Just for your information, this shirt is different because yesterday I was trying to make this video and I needed to get one of our endurance bikes from up here out, which wasn't too bad. But there was actually another bike that I wanted to at least have in the video that was right here. And I just was kind of helpless. I'm actually going to shoot this on my iPhone instead of... So interestingly, in my research between an endurance and an adventure bike, between most brands, I didn't actually find all that much different between the two. Probably the two things that pop out the most is that a bike marketed as like an adventure bike is going to have like the slightest bit longer of a wheelbase, and possibly, depending on the brand, a head tube angle that's slightly more slack. But oddly enough, the rake that they put on both bikes produces the same amount of trail, like plus or minus like 2 or 3 millimeters. That really depends on the brand. For these two bikes that I've got, the differences are slightly more than other ones that I've seen. Other than that, all of the bikes that I've kind of looked for my size in a 54 all have a really, really similar stack height and a very, very similar reach. Actually, all of them almost hit like the nail on the head with the reach. I mean, those are two, measurements that can be changed pretty easily, especially, the stack can be changed by taking a bunch of spacers out, and the reach can be changed by putting a longer stem on and stuff. All of these bikes, stock, put you in a pretty similar position. The key difference, while everything else is so similar, is that a endurance bike generally only has clearance up to like a 30 mil tire, where an adventure bike has clearance anywhere from like 35 to like 40. Basically, I'm making this video because I was just kind of surprised at how close the geometries between an endurance bike and an adventure bike can be for any given brand. So really, like I've said before, an adventure bike is just like that slightly more capable road bike. In my opinion, you could probably just take any endurance road bike from any company and just open the clearances a little bit, and you would have like aggressive adventure bike. That's the way I see it. And in all honesty, for certain brands, I feel like that's exactly what they did, and just gave it like a different name and said it was a different bike. I'm okay with that. Making this video has kind of just like opened my eyes to actually have a look at geometry charts to see if this adventure bike is actually something really groundbreaking, or if it's just a bike that they kind of have in their lineup that they opened up a little bit. Generally, I actually kind of agree with what like bike companies are kind of doing. I'm like, oh yeah, this bike definitely has a place. But in my opinion, I feel like there's some redundancy in having an adventure bike and having an endurance bike. So I guess this video is just kind of my way of actually expressing my feelings about the redundancy of some of the bikes. While I definitely have come to defend them a couple times in saying, you know, cross bikes and adventure bikes are definitely not the same. You know, gravel bikes, adventure bikes, and cross bikes are also not the same. However, when it comes to these endurance and adventure bikes, I have a hard time in saying that they're not really the same. It's what you make it. Always try to give. Don't ever take it.